This short video describes Irish Water's proposed development for a new source of water supply for its Eastern and Midlands region. It explains how water will be abstracted in a sustainable way from the lower River Shannon to supply the water that is needed for future growth. Irish water engineers have calculated that an extra 330 million litres of water will be needed for the Eastern and Midlands region per day to cater for projected economic and population growth up to 2050. Irish Water proposed to abstract water from the River Shannon at Partine Basin, also known locally as the Lower Lake, which is located downstream of Lough Derg and the towns of Ballina and Killaloe. Partine Basin is an artificial lake, which was created in the late 1920s as part of the Shannon hydropower scheme. Water is retained in the lake by Partine Weir at the downstream southern end and by man-made embankments on the eastern and western shores of the lake. At Partine Weir, water is discharged to the River Shannon and to the power station. All water flowing from the upper River Shannon eventually arrives at Partine Basin. Flows through the basin vary over the course of the year and also from year to year depending on climatic conditions. We now look at how water levels and water flows are controlled in Partine Basin under a range of inflow conditions. In normal or low flow conditions, water levels in Partine Basin and Lough Derg are controlled in a narrow band, which is called the normal operational band. This control is achieved by varying the discharges downstream of the weir. In normal or low flow conditions, a minimum statutory flow of 10 cubic metres per second is discharged into the River Shannon, while the remainder is discharged into the head race, a man-made channel that leads to the hydropower station. In high or flood flow conditions, discharges into the head race are maximised and the remaining flow is discharged to the River Shannon. The proposed abstraction is less than 1% of flood flows and will have little impact on reducing flooding. The water supply project involves building an underground pipeline starting at Partine Basin and ending in Dublin. During all flow conditions, the pipeline will take a small fraction of available water that would otherwise be discharged to the head race for power generation. The abstracted water will be treated in a new water treatment plant close to the Partine Basin and then pumped to supply towns and communities in the Midlands before finally reaching Dublin. Once the new water abstraction is in place, power generation can be adjusted so that water levels are maintained within the existing normal operational band as consistently as they are at present. In summary, the proposed abstraction quantity would use a very small fraction of available water in the lower Shannon, most of which is used for power generation purposes. Consequently, there would be no impacts downstream in the River Shannon and insignificant impacts on flows through the Shannon's tidal estuary. The proposed water abstraction from Partine Basin to supply water for the Eastern and Midlands region to allow for future growth is, in simple terms, an abstraction of water from a hydropower scheme. This type of project is commonly used worldwide to provide industry and local communities with a sustainable supply of water that would otherwise be discharged to sea.